Now, what are any other people waiting for anything in particular? Okay, we will now go back and get ourselves into order, team. Moving now to agenda item number 1, which is confirmation of the council minutes of the minute held on the 13th of April 2013 here in this very chamber. Before I ask for a mover or a seconder, are there any amendments or alterations, please? There being none, a mover, please. Move. Councillor Truman, second. Councillor Downard. All those in favour? Aye. Any matters arising? Through to agenda item number 2. So that'll be finishing page 1 by 11. Councillor Williams.
Councillor Henderson had asked for some written material relating to the Turangi Town Centre redevelopment. I just wondered if that had been forthcoming. From this 1 of 1.
I think what I was referring to at the time was there'd been some previous discussion back in February about a timeline for stage 2 and stage 3 of the projects. As I understand, that information isn't quite available as yet, so no.
Does that answer the question? I was a bit lost there, I'm sorry. Right, any other matters arising from these pages, please? Going through to page 1 bar 11. Okay, moving now to agenda item number 2, which are the unconfirmed minutes, which you can't make amendments to, but that's the Southern Settlement Structure Plan Committee and the Taupo Airport Authority. So, starting firstly with the Southern Settlement Structure Plan. Sorry, Councillor Heckling.
There is just one minor alteration that I would like to make, and that's on page 2 bar 9.
I don't think we can do an alteration.
Well, this is to do with the resolution that was passed, and Councillor Kirk was not at that meeting, and Councillor Kappa was. It's just a typo error that I've certainly seen.
Okay, well, you're the chair of the meeting, so if you're happy with it, I'm happy.
Oh, it should be changed, Your Worship, because it is Councillor Kappa that seconded the that particular recommendation.
Well, we should get our facts straight, that's for sure. Thank you very much for that.
Other than that, I've particularly asked that these minutes of the Southern Settlement Structure Plan be included in the agenda item, just to inform the other councillors of the process that we went through, and that it was a detailed hearings committee, so it just gives you the background information.
Thank you very much. So remember, we're only receiving these unconfirmed minutes, and also for Taupo Airport Authority Committee. So I'll put I'll ask for a mover, please, and a seconder to the motion to receive them. Move, Councillor Johnson. Seconded, Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, say aye. Aye. Any questions arising, please, Councillor Williams?
Yes, with regard to the Taupo Airport Authority Committee, I know in the past the confidential section items in the agenda were revealed to councillors, and I'm just asking why now those matters aren't being forwarded to councillors.
Sorry, I'm at a loss.
Confidential items in the Taupo Airport Authority Committee, we aren't getting a copy of the confidential minutes.
Is that? Huh? Yeah. Is that right? Cool. Anything further? Any further matters arising? Okay, being none, I'm sure I asked all those in favour. All those in favour? Aye. Moving now to we'll go now to agenda item number 5. We've done that there. Animal control, environmental health fees and charges. Welcome, Mr. Greaves. I'm sure you've enjoyed yourself putting these together. Good fun. Well, I've noticed we've got rid of the 20-cent pieces and what have you, so I guess that's an improvement.
Yes, fortunately they haven't changed GST again on us. So the only odd ones we do have at the back there is the liquor licensing ones, which are set by legislation currently.
Yeah, once again, we just play subservient to other people that obviously know a lot better than us about how to drink alcohol. And they want to charge $793.24 for their efforts. So sterling work to them. Personally, I would have charged $795, but that's how you go, isn't it? So, very mechanical. Councillor Downard says move. Do you have a second? Councillor Johnson. All those in favour? Aye. Are there any questions of clarity or anything anybody would like to comment?
Personal best.
Thank you very much for your attendance, sir. Agenda item number 6, proposed new street names. Under the Local Government Act. Tracy May, how are you? Welcome here today, ma'am. Sit down, relax, have a seat.
I think I'll be as fast as Gareth was. Right, so, Mayor Councillors, we have 3 road names up for approval today in the Taupo District. So I take the item as read. Do we have any questions or proposals for the 3 names? So the first one being Moa.
Any questions of clarity, comments? No. Being none, is there a mover? Councillor Hickling, seconder. Councillor Kirk, all in favour? Aye. Thank you for your attendance. Ms. Tracy.
Oh, no, 2 more to go.
Oh, you got 2. Hang on, I'm moving. 3. Oh, we've got 3 to do.
Yeah,
I thought we were doing all 3 at once.
No, you've got to make a choice on the next.
That's what I thought I was doing, to be honest with you. Okay.
You were.
Number 2.
So we have road number 2, which is up in the Mitre 10 Mega Shell development. They've put forward 2 names, and this is a private road. So they've put forward some names just for more emergency services, and we can see a lot of businesses going up there. So we really don't want to give them horrible bar numbers and the likes. So they've put forward their preferred choice of Bella George Lane.
Oh, I was looking for a mover, sorry. Councillor Johnson, seconder. Councillor Truman, all in favour? Aye. Number 3.
3 is a private subdivision out at Te Ridge in Kinloch. The receivers are actually looking to market this subdivision fairly soon, so would like to put a bit of a name to it as opposed to having bar numbers again. So they are looking at Lace Spark Drive.
What's it called?
Lace Spark.
Sounds like gone broke to me. Mover.
So is that their first choice?
That's their first choice, yep. And their second one is Ribbonwood Crescent. Now they're names off their landscaping plan.
First one's got favour with a move so far. Move, Councillor Hickling. Second, Councillor Williams, always in favour. Aye. Carried. Thank you very much.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Me. Agenda item numbers. Is Mr. Lewis in the... Have I gone too fast for him or something? Oh, is he? Claire Charlin? Oh, sorry. Okay. So we have Miss Charlin here on agenda item number 7, Lake Terrace traffic calming. I don't know how much you want to delve into this. You've workshopped it. You've had it explained to you. I'll open it up to you, Councillor Downard.
I'd like to move it if there's no discussion.
We'll have a mover there. Is there any discussion before I ask for a seconder? Is that a seconding or discussion?
No, it's not a discussion, but I just like to say that while I think long term this needs to be done at the present time, I consider it to be totally unnecessary expenditure.
You want to vote against it? So you're registering your intention to vote against. That being the case, is there anybody else who would like to speak out against the suggested resolution? If there's not, I won't ask people who want to speak for the resolution because there's only one dissension there, obviously. So we have a mover. Any seconder? Seconded, Councillor Hickling. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? You want it to be recorded?
Yes, I do.
Record the vote of Councillor Williams against, please. Moving on now. We did 8. Here's a very, very important one. Right, new licence for the sale of ice cream. Miss Rawley.
This should be fairly straightforward. It's really just a case of making use of an existing licence site that's used during the peak season by Gelateria Taupo Limited. And we've had expressions of interest from somebody who wishes to use it for the rest of the year. We've just restructured the licence with Gelateria Taupo so that we have a defined operating period which frees up 6 months. So we can now allow Mr. Mickey to operate a period.
And we discussed this quite thoroughly with the gelato people and what have you, yeah.
They agree now that there is a defined operating period, and what we do outside of that operating period has nothing to do with it.
But from 1st of November or some date to some other date, it's theirs, yeah. Councillor Downer?
Yeah, because he use it last year as well during that time? Did we let him?
I allowed him to use it as a trial from July, I think. And then came to council and got permission for him to use it for another 2 or 3 months until the end of October. And then the Gelateria Taupo moved back in.
Councillor Henderson?
I'd like to move the motion.
Mover on the floor. Any other questions of clarity or anything? Being none, seconded by Councillor Downard. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Number 10, Bike Taupo lease on the Kinloch domain. And is that you again, Miss Rawley, on the hot seat?
Yes, it is.
A mechanical item by the sound of things, but however, I'll open it up to yourself for the floor. Been workshopped, been looked at. Councillor Craig doesn't want to comment. He just wants to thank everybody and what a good job they're doing and be the mover.
And be the mover, yeah.
I said and be the mover. Seconded Councillor Johnson. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Agenda item number 11. I've got a note here from Mr. Rob Williams, our CEO, advised me we may not have enough information here today about this matter. So in the interest of making the best effort to progress this, I'm asking that it is deferred to the next meeting. So I defer agenda item number 11 to the June meeting. Moving into agenda item number 12, Chief Executive's report.
What's lacking in this report?
I'm not sure.
Through the chair, I've been asked a number of different questions by quite a few elected members over the last few days that I wasn't able to find answers for them. So rather than trying to scurry about for this meeting, I've asked my staff to prepare extensive answers to the questions I've been raised so that we can have an informed discussion at the next council meeting. I've spoken to Mr. Traveller about that. There's no timelines associated with this in terms of it must be done this month or next month, and Mr. Traveller has accepted that.
Because we have discussed this previously.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I didn't know there was any problems with it. Okay.
It's just informational stuff. Yeah.
Councillor Williams.
What were the questions, Mr. Williams? What were the questions? So this, as I understand it, this contract's about to be settled. So is this going to be a problem?
It's still settled on Friday. It will be settled this Friday. This issue is not related to the settlement of the contract.
Well, it is with respect to the access.
Yeah, but there's no timelines associated with the access part of it. It's just under obligation of council to undertake best endeavours to sort this matter out, but there's no timeline associated with that, and it's not critical to the continuation of the project.
I will have it on the next on June.
Councillor Henderson.
Yes, that's an agenda item today, and I don't really understand what's going on here. Could we move that to the confidential section and discuss what the matters are in there? Is that possible?
Deferred it to next month's agenda meeting, and it'll be discussed in open council at next month's monthly meeting.
And this contract closes on Friday, though.
Contract's closed. It's being settled. Don't try and find problems where there's no problems. I have deferred it. We are now moving to agenda item number 12, Chief Executive Officer's report.
I'm just trying to clarify what the issues are, Your Worship. That's all.
We haven't got clarification. Otherwise, we would be discussing it today, and that's what we are seeking of Chief Executive Officer is clarifications.
Right, but we won't get that till the next council meeting. Is that correct?
Correct. Is that correct?
District's report. I would take the report as read, and I'm more than
Okay, so the report is attached. Mr. Williams is happy to take questions. But that's only up to, we'll move to the financial update after this, please. Councillor Henderson.
Back in February, and this issue was brought up earlier, councillors requested a timeline at a pretty high level for stage 2 and 3 of the Turangi revitalisation. I note that nothing in this report is mentioned any further about that, so if we could have a verbal update as to when we might be able to expect to receive that information, that would be appreciated.
Oh, Mr. Bowden's down the back there. Come forward, sir, if you can put some clarity around Councillor Henderson's query, please.
With pleasure. We're working through the design for the stage 2 and 3 at the moment. An integral part is stage 2, an important part is the skate park. We've contracted the designer of the skate park, but we've not got what I consider to be a reasonable program from him yet. So we're putting that together at the moment. I'm not going to put anything on paper that we can't, that I'm not happy we can stick to and deliver. So that timeline will come out next month.
You cannot answer Councillor Henderson's query as to what the timelines are because you don't know the timelines. Cool, thank you. Anything further, Councillor Henderson? Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Hickley.
Andrew, you just mentioned the going through the design stage of the skateboard park. Who are we getting to do that work? Because it's really important that skateboarders have a sort of an input into that design.
Councillor, there's been consultation with the community in Turangi with regards to their requirements for a skate park. That happened, I think it was last year, the end of last year. So there's been a concept put forward by a company called Premium Skate Designs, who have a good experience of doing them in New Zealand, and they've got a website showing what they've done in the past. So that part of the process is complete. Okay, so now we're going to go from concept. The concept came last year, then to detailed drawings, structural design, and building consent. And at the moment, we've only just gone back to them, and we're working through that process of design. And we've had a tentative program, which I'm not very happy with at the moment. So I'm trying to nail them down to some more specific dates, so I can give to council a program that is realistic and not just a thumbs up.
It was just the design concept, and
yeah, we've had a detailed consultation process in Turangi.
Councillor Williams.
Yes, Your Worship, 2 questions. The first one around the JMA's agreement, JMA's over the Waikato River. Now, with regards to the Tiara.
What page you on?
Oh, I'm through on to the council performance report. Are we not there yet?
No, we do Chief Executive Report Summary at the moment, 12/2, 12/3. Sorry. That's right. Anything more for Mr. Bowden? Councillor Kirk?
No, not Mr. Bowden.
Okay, so,
Sorry. It was Mr. Williams though.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob, just out of interest, the performance measure targets, talked about on 12/3, there are a couple that it says have largely been achieved, but there is a few slippages there, and it says that there'd be detailed explanations in the report. I haven't found those, so I'm just wondering if I'm not reading it properly or what the story is, because when I look at the back at the different on-track, long-term plan, etc., it's still just got the same brief explanations. That'd be fantastic, thank you.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Downer.
Just on the surge spills, Mr. Williams, did we get any, was there anything from Waikato Regional Council? Did we get, like we did over at Mangakino, was there any comeback from them?
No, because appropriate process was followed, so explanation, report, and monitoring from there.
Okay, suggested resolution, Chief Executive Officer's report for May 13 be received. Move. Johnson, second. Downard, all in favour. Really, I've got ahead of myself there because this is yeah. So I want to move now to the financial updates. Go through the financials, please. 12/5 and right through to where do we end there? But could we just till 12/17? Can we do that page by page if there's any questions? I would remind councillors that Mr. Manhennett has asked many times if you've got questions on the financials in any way, shape or form, no matter how big or small, if you could email them through to him before a meeting, he will always have those answers ready at our meeting. Have you received any queries?
No, I haven't, but I'd like to draw to Council's attention that this is the first month that we've done a year-end forecast. What we intend doing now is getting very much into a forecasting mode to try and predict where we're going to be at the end of each year. So hence, in the 13-14 year, you'll start to see this coming through regularly on a monthly basis. There's two reasons for this. One is that we have to do our full year budgets so far in advance that we don't even know what our closing position is 1 year before we budget for the next. But secondly, as we try and have our staff focusing more on the future and not the past, it assists us in our forward planning as to the activities that we undertake. So if we look at the page 12/5, you'll see the year-end forecast is painting a $3.5 million favourable variance versus what the original budget was. There is variances pretty much line by line. The gains, losses, we've brought in the projected sale proceeds of the Douglas fir up and above what the written up book value was, because we get it revalued each year. And in the expenses, you'll find that there's the 4.2 million we've anticipated that council will consider it in item number 17 in today's agenda related to the lake protection payments. So even taking those into account, you can see that the actions of the staff have turned out to lead to a pretty positive result in forecast for the year. And actions of councillors as well, of course.
It is becoming more and more often and pleasantly surprising, well not surprising, but pleasant to be reading that there's start to get a lot of good stories in these financials. Finance costs are $791,000 less than budget due to lower than budgeted debt levels. So our debt reducing program is starting to take effect. Good stories about budgets. Even Owen Delaney Park, big windfall we had to end up $53,000 in credit. All those sort of things add up to like eating the old elephant, bite at a time. But $3 million, I think, is the surplus.
Increase, yeah, a reduction in the deficit by over $3 million.
$3 million, yeah.
And our loan book at the end of April is $10 million less than what we were budgeting it to be.
So, you know, there are good news stories out there, and I just hope that the media does carry them forward. So there was a request of one councillor, I've been told, Councillor Truman made a request of the Chief Executive Officer for some clarity on some issue.
Yeah, just remember that email. I could read that.
Yeah. Rob,
So I just wanted to clarify, because there was an email around, and the question was around budgets for seal extensions. The budget for seal extension for 2012-13 is $375,000. We've spent $262,000 this year. $229,000 was spent on the seal extension on Arataki Road. 31,000 spent on retaining the batters on Forest Road, which was part of the Forest Road seal extension project, and 2,000 spent on the design and investigation of the Weathertown Road seal extension project. So there's a balance of 113,000 which is intended to be carried forward for next year to help fund the seal extension of Weathertown Road.
That will take place.
And that will take place in next at the beginning of next financial year in September.
Thank you.
Maybe a little bit later because they don't do their sealing till the summer hits. However, okay, Councillor Henderson.
Just picking up on the financial reports, Treasury Management Report, page 12/13. I just draw people's attention to two charts there. One is the investment returns and the other one is the interest costs on debt. And the reason why I want to point this out is there's been a lot of commentary from the public about selling investment assets. It would seem, firstly, that the investment returns are well ahead of forecasts, so doing pretty well. And the other issue is that the cost of debt, or the debt itself, and clearly the interest is going down there on the debt, so that's always another good thing as well. I think just considering the comments that have been made by a lot of members of the public around those two issues, there are a couple of really positive things to highlight.
One other comment I'd like to make is on the capital expenditure report, we will be moving into the forecasting mode on that as well, trying to predict what our capital expenditure will be on each of these projects by year end. So it's not just
Financial year end.
financial year end.
1 month away.
Well, next year it'll be forecasting sort of 10 or 11 months ahead. Yeah.
Okay, is there anything further on this? So we'll move into the. I'm sorry, Councillor Williams.
Your Worship, I'd just like to make a comment on the other revenues, the obviously grant subsidies to be ahead of budget by 1.89, and also on the other expenses. It's very, very good, even though there's a few timing issues there, but 1.523 above ahead of budget. I think those are great news for ratepayers. Well done to the council officers, especially when you look at the other expenses with the other with regards to the income from hay and cost recoveries on water, swimming pools, and the underlying logs has been mentioned, transport recoveries. That's all good news.
Okay. Good news report. That's very pleasing heading into winter. So moving to the project performance section of this agenda item, which takes you right through a hell of a lot of it. So I'll move into that one. Any questions or? Sorry, Councillor Hickling?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment once
You've
again
gone back on me.
on the on page 12/21.
Yep.
Upgrade of Kaunihera Street, changing facility and toilets.
Yep.
And the comments here are that it has gone out to tender, and the required some additional funds, and it would be requested through the annual plan process. Now, I actually brought this up at the annual plan process, and I was told because we hadn't got a submission, it couldn't be dealt with under the annual plan process. So, why is it saying it's supposed to be under the annual plan process?
Simply a timing issue in terms of when this report was collated versus when the annual plan was. So this was written prior to that annual plan process.
Okay, but let's cut to the chase. Councillor Hickling wants these buildings built over here. The cricket people were basically promised it. So where are we and what are we doing about it? Because it's been out for tender, and I believe the tender is.
I think what we said was we would bring a paper to the next council meeting with a request for unbudgeted expenditure.
No,
Is that changed? That's
yes,
what we said. That's what we said in the annual plan.
Well, we want some clarity.
Yeah, and that's what was said at the meeting.
That's why I'm digging.
And I am opposed to that because this project's been in the long-term plan for about 5 years, and unfortunately, if that report comes to council, I'll be obliged to vote against it because it's an unbudgeted item, and it's almost the first month of the new financial year.
We actually have unspent budgeted expenditure. And if you think of the tenders and that come across will come through this chamber where the actual tender cost is below the engineer's estimate. We base our budgets on the engineer's estimates. So therefore, in this particular case, the estimate was less than what the tender price was. Others have come through where the tender price has been less than the engineer's estimate. So we do actually have budgeted but unspent capex, not particularly defined in our plans for the Kaingaroa Reserve, but in this case where the tender price has come ahead of the estimate, we will fund the rest out of budgeted capex that has been unspent to date, so it is not unbudgeted capex. It will have no rate impact.
Thank you, Mr. Manhannett, for that explanation. And I appreciate those comments.
So am I to, I'll come straight to you, so am I to understand that we're doing the job, are we?
Yes.
When's it starting? I want some clarity because this gets bounced around all the time and I don't know what we're actually doing. Now I've been told what we're doing. I just want to know when's the who we stop and the do we start.
I can't give you an exact time frame because that's only been discussed. That process has only been discussed earlier this week, I think 2 days ago. So we're still not in a place of giving you an exact time frame, but it will be as soon as possible.
I think in fairness, Mr. Chair, it has to come back to the next council meeting for approval.
But then Mr. Hickling would be voting against it because
With the wording as
With
per
the wording-
Mr. Manhannett.
With the wording that's just been put forward, Your Worship, I would obviously like to vote for it, but yeah.
Well, are you satisfied with what we've discussed here today?
I'm very satisfied with that.
So minuted
explanation.
that this will be an agenda item at the next council meeting. Thank you very much, Councillor Downard.
Well, I'm happy with that then, because I too have been part of the process, and we were told in a workshop that we could find the money somewhere, and then it came through the annual plan that we didn't. So that's why Councillor Hickling has brought it up again today. So it's all fixed, and we have got that out of budgeted. Then yeah, that's great.
Councillor Williams.
Yeah, just really wanting an update on the JMAs with regards to the Waikato River, because we did put some time in last year with the Tiara River Trust Board, and now the Taupo Murray Trust Board's come in. We've got a comment here that the council's received advice from those parties and the matters have been resolved. When the matters have been resolved, the agreement can be adopted. So just a question around the timeline of those JMAs, both with Tiara and the Ruakawa River Trust. And then the second one was just to explain the process with regards to the plan changes on the appeals. Just really wanting to know the timing issues. The plan changes 28 to 33.
Two questions. First one, hand over to you.
I'll take both of them in due course.
I'll
Firstly,
you the second one. I see how well you did with the first one.
thank you, Worship.
Start with Ruakawa.
Good advice. Whakaaro is going well. We've had the initial meeting of the Joint Management Committee, which started the ball rolling. We've had several officer meetings where we've discussed the draft document. That is on target to be adopted by Council and Whakaaro prior to the election. We're anticipating bringing a draft up to Council at the end of August meeting. In terms of Ngāti Tūwhaotoa, they've sent an initial signal that they want to develop a joint management agreement with us. The ball is firmly in their court at this point in time. We've asked them for some indication around timing and process that they'd like to follow. So we're waiting to hear back from them in that regard. In terms of Tiara, you'll remember you've got a draft sitting on the table, which has been there for some time. I talked to them yesterday. They've been in discussions with Ngāti Tūwhaotoa, which have been very fruitful. They are looking to expand those discussions and bring Whakaaro in as well. We've got a slightly tricky situation, which doesn't occur in other parts of the Waikato, where we've got iwi with overlapping interests. There is a particular area where Whakaaro, Tiara, and Tūwhaotoa all have interests under legislation. So their discussions are aimed at having an understanding amongst themselves about how they want to manage those shared interests. And I've had an indication that they'll be coming back to us some stage in the next few months with an update about what progress they've made. Do I get to go on to the second one?
Yep, that was well done.
In terms of plan changes 28 to 33, we've had the 5 appeals, which I think I've talked to you about before. We've made an initial report to the court, setting out a structure for managing those appeals. We've also had discussions with all of the appellants, the 5 appellants. The 3 different areas of interest, 3 different topics, are on 3 different sort of paths. We've had a very clear indication from the National Trading Company and Advanced Properties that they wish to proceed straight to court-assisted mediation. So we've asked the court for a date to be set down and a mediator to be provided. The Acacia trustees, who we've met with, have indicated they're quite happy to move forward in discussions outside of the court-assisted mediation process. We've already initiated those, and we'll be meeting with the individual 274 parties as part of that. The last track is the KTHD submission. Appellants. So that's Matt Jensen and CSM Properties. We've met with them again, and we've met with all of the 274 parties who are involved with that. They've got a very wide scope to their appeals at present, which means there are a whole lot of different possibilities, and we could end off on all sorts of tangents. We've asked them to provide a much narrower scope to that appeal, so we can focus our energy and our resources arguing about the points where there might be some difference as opposed to trawling over common ground. They've undertaken to come back to us by the 7th of July with that narrowing of their scope, and we'll have further discussions at that point about where we think that we can find some common ground. The next step after that will be a discussion, probably through a more formal mediation process assisted by the court's mediator. I guess the last piece of that puzzle is we've undertaken to respond back to the court on the 14th of June, where we'll be outlining where we're at with those 3 different tracks.
Well answered. Thank you very much. Anything further? Okay. Nothing further on the agenda item in totem. Executive summary. Nope. Well, I think I actually asked for a mover and a seconder originally. And did I ask all in favour? We did. So we'll move now to agenda item number. Oh, more questions? Where? Oh,
well,
sorry.
Just a question, probably of Gareth, I think, on 12 bar 45. Just it looks as though we're saying we're supposed to inspect the liquor outlets and the food outlets 100% per annum. Yeah, and I know this is end of March, isn't it? But are we going to achieve the 100% there, or?
We're putting the pressure on the staff to meet the 100%. We've charged the people for it, and we will make sure that.
Well, because we've only got basically 4 months, I assume, to do the remainder.
That's why I've got sharp-toed shoes on at the moment. Okay.
Thank you. So anybody with a liquor outlet better watch themselves the next 3 months, because you're going to get inspected, aren't you? Yeah. We're watching. Oh, sorry. Right. Councillor Williams.
Just in regard to the 2 incidents of sewage spills, has there been any precautionary measures put in place to avoid future problems as a consequence of those events?
Mr. Green.
They were both, and I was trying to find the page number.
12 bar 56.
They were both issues which occurred essentially with they were not as a result of any maintenance issue or lack of action. They were simply accidents which occurred. So there's really nothing other than our ongoing maintenance program, asset management program that we have that that can be put in place to reduce that from happening. It's one of those things.
Cool. Nothing further, Councillor Henderson.
Yeah, just two issues. The first one is on page 12/26, the Turangi wastewater treatment plant optimisation. Just drawing council's attention to it that there's $1.2 million proposed for a new lined pond and $900,000 budgeted for a chemical cleaning plant and $950,000 for a membrane capacity expansion, probably not required. Just for your information, it also points out cost estimates have been made after the preliminary design. Cost risk is the most significant risk. The reason I point it out is we've already got a huge investment in this plant, and here we are spending more money on it, and cost and is being identified as the biggest risk. So I would just pay attention to what's going on there, because it seems like a lot of money on a plant we've already invested a significant amount. The other one is the Turangi Revitalisation Project. (12/25). Just a couple of points with it. I note that, just for council's information, as they may not have seen, the landscaping tender price is twice the provisional sum allowed in the contract, and that it appears that will be coming to council for approval to take the money for that from stage 2 of the project to make up the shortfall. So just a couple of things to point out that people may not have seen that are there in the notes.
They're not really questions, they're just... Cool. Yes, Councillor.
We've had an explanation on both the...
I know that.
And wasn't it the telecom cable that they're shifting to that, or they had to do landscaping over?
That explanation's not necessarily here, though, for the public as to why that's happened. And just pointing out that the cost will be twice as much, which until now I don't think we were aware of for the landscaping.
There being nothing, moving to agenda item number 13, please.